What is going on, everyone? DSP here, and this is a very special video. I usually don't do stuff like this unless it's like a really special game or special playthrough. And in the event that this was, you know, something that I feel not any different from the usual, though, me still belching. Since I really do feel this was a special game and a special playthrough for me, I wanted to talk about my feelings on beating Mass Effect 3. Now, for the first time, I've only beaten it once. I literally just beat it like 15 minutes ago. And I wanted to put out this reactions video to beating the game because there's some really hot topics going on around the game right now that need to be discussed. I want to talk about them. So let's start, okay? So Mass Effect 3, by the way, this is a spoiler-free video. I'm not going to discuss, you know, the major plot lines or anything like that. I'm just going to be saying generalities so that you can watch this video and not have to worry about spoiling the game for yourself. I actually know that over in Europe, you guys haven't even gotten a game yet, so obviously you don't want to watch this. If it's spoilers, there's no spoilers, okay? What I can say is this. I really feel, first of all, my first playthrough ended up being around 34 hours total gameplay, which is actually right on par with Mass Effect 2. They actually, this playthrough ended at 173 parts. Mass Effect 2 ended at like 175 parts, so they're pretty much exactly the same length when it comes down to it. First of all, an amazing way to end this series. Let me put it this way. I really feel that they did a really amazing job of wrapping up the story, of giving each character who you've now come to know and love over the course of the series their due. I feel good. I feel really good. And, you know, in some cases, I might have felt upset. Actually, for a while, I thought I was going to be upset because, as we're going to talk about in this video, there's some controversy regarding how to get the perfect ending of this game, the best ending. And I did not get the best ending in my first playthrough, despite the fact I did the vast majority of side missions in this game, and most of the side content I did not get the best ending. And I would be upset, but the ending I got, actually, I enjoyed a lot. I'm not going to spoil, but I enjoyed it a lot just playing it through the first time. And the ending, I really feel, was a really cool way to wrap up Shepard's story, and I am pleased with the way that the ending went for my first playthrough. And I was kind of afraid because right now, like not even exaggerating, right now my girlfriend is on a train on the way here to spend the weekend with me. And I knew that if I didn't beat the game in time before she got here, that I wasn't going to be able to play the game again until, you know, next week when she leaves. And so it was going to be a pain in the ass of, you know, a cliffhanger for everyone. What's going on? Is this game ever going to end? What, you know, it stinks that Phil couldn't finish it in time. And I really didn't rush. Just so everyone knows, I did not rush in this playthrough of this game. I took my time. I did an extreme amount of side content. I did every single official side mission, and then there are other side missions, like collection of items and things that you find throughout the galaxy, that I did not do. Or that I did most of, but I didn't do all of them, okay? Mostly because I didn't realize some of them are time-specific. You can only do them at certain points during the game. And so it actually is a little bit frustrating for me that I didn't know exactly when I could do what, and I ended up missing out on certain things that I could have done, okay? Here's what I have to say. Now, this is not a Hateful Truth review. This is my initial impressions about my first playthrough of the game. The first odd thing, okay, is that you can import your Mass Effect 2 character, just like you could import your Mass Effect 1 character into Mass Effect 2. Right off the bat, there's problems. People don't know about this, but if you did not edit your character's face a little bit in Mass Effect 2, you cannot import your original face from Mass Effect 1. It doesn't work properly. So luckily for me, when I played Mass Effect 2, I imported my character from Mass Effect 1, and I thought the face looked a little off, so I tweaked it just a little bit, and because of that, my face actually worked in my playthrough of Mass Effect 3. If I hadn't done that and left it original and plain, it wouldn't work in Mass Effect 3. And this is a bug that BioWare is currently trying to address. So that's a little bit of a snafu there. What I did like is that, just so everyone knows, all the choices that you've made over the course of the 3 games do come into play in Mass Effect 3. There wasn't any major choice that didn't come into play. Most of them, to be completely honest, end up being like in a side mission, or even though they're part of the main plot, it really doesn't seem to be that big of a deal, but it is cool that you do get these kind of choices, and that the choices actually did affect, in some way, the gameplay of this game. And everyone who remained alive at the end of Mass Effect 2 does make an appearance in Mass Effect 3, whether it's a cameo appearance, whether it's for a special side mission, they do show up, and I did enjoy that. I also definitely enjoyed the way that at the end of the game, and I'm not spoiling, but at the end of the game, let's just put it this way. Every character does get their due. It's not like any characters get forgotten, someone gets thrown out, or someone doesn't really get treated properly. I really feel that every character gets their time to shine by the end of the game, and you feel really good that this is the end of the series, that they've wrapped it up. They didn't just shove anyone under the rug or make someone act out of character. Everything really worked out really well by the end of the game, and I really enjoyed that. Some things that I think they definitely improved upon. The stupid collection gameplay of the previous Mass Effects, where in Mass Effect 1 you were driving in the Mako around the planets looking for minerals. In Mass Effect 2 you were scanning planets for minerals and stuff. It's all gone. What they've done is they've completely streamlined that and turned it into the same map, the same space exploration map exists, but all you do is you scan while you're still on the world map. It'll tell you where there's stuff that you can find, and then you'll go to that planet, and then you scan, you find the item, and you can leave. It's not like you're scanning endlessly for endless amounts of minerals doing this silly little mini-game. I really feel they refined that and made it as good as it could be. I was really disappointed with that in Mass Effect 1 and 2, and I'm happy that they did improve that. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, because this is the hot topic of debate, okay, that everyone is talking about on the internet. Mass Effect 3 has multiple endings. In fact, it has 8 possible endings for each scenario of if at the end of Mass Effect 2... Now, this will be a spoiler if you didn't play Mass Effect 2. If you didn't play Mass Effect 2, I don't know why the fuck you're watching a video about my impressions on Mass Effect 3. So, spoiler alert for the next second. If at the end of Mass Effect 2 you either chose to spare or destroy the collector ship, that actually affects the ending of the game, and there's 8 possible endings if you spared it and 8 possible endings if you destroyed it, meaning there's really 16 possible endings for Mass Effect 3. That's fucking nuts, okay? The ending that you get depends upon a number of factors, okay? The one factor is how many galactic forces or military groups you've amassed during your playthrough. And the way that you amass them is that you actually do side missions. Now, the main quest line, from what I saw, will probably give you anywhere from maybe 2,000 to 3,000 troops. Of course, they call it military strength, so 2,000 to 3,000 rating of military strength. There's actually a bar, a status bar, that fills up during the course of the game, showing you the military strength that you have depending on what you've done during the game. And there's a minimum line on there that you have to get to that minimum, or else you can't beat the game. Okay, you can't successfully beat it. So you can do it by playing the main campaign, but also the side missions. And the side missions are varied. There are side missions that are N7 missions that are given to you by your human alliance. And you could do those. I believe there's 7 of those in total. There are mini missions that could be found on like planets sometimes, where you have to go save a certain colony or do a certain thing. But there's also a lot of collection missions, which are missions which what you do is you go to, say, the Citadel, you walk around, you're going to overhear people talking, or you talk to someone and they say, I'm looking for this artifact, I'm looking for this piece of code, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. And you can either find those items by scanning planets throughout the galaxy, or later on, if you skip certain ones that were time sensitive, you can actually buy those items in a menu later on in the game. So when you redeem these items, you actually get forces, like military forces, to join your party. So that is one factor. You need to get certain levels of military strength in order to get different endings in the game. So if you get, say, 1,800, you'll get one ending. If you get 2,500, you'll get a second ending, and so on and so forth. The maximum you're supposed to have to accrue is 5,000. But the people who made Mass Effect 2, BioWare, said, oh, well, we want some incentive for people to actually play the multiplayer as well. So we're also going to have this thing called Galactic Readiness. And when you start the game, if you never play multiplayer, when you play through the campaign, the Galactic Readiness will always be rated at 50%, okay? And what that means is that even if you have 5,000 military strength, you multiply it by the 50%, you really only have 2,500 military strength, okay? Now, from what everyone's been saying, you need to have 5,000 to get the perfect ending total. So that's military strength plus Galactic Readiness, okay? Now, the way to get Galactic Readiness up is to play multiplayer games, and from what people have been saying online, you have to play anywhere between 8 and 10 full multiplayer games, and your Galactic Readiness will be maxed out at 100%. So, really, what you need to do to get the perfect ending of this game, supposedly from what everyone's been saying, is you need to not only amass the 5,000 troops during the course of the game by doing lots of side quests, but you also need to play multiplayer for like 2 hours. Then you can get the perfect ending. Well, okay, there's a lot of controversy and a lot of not understanding about this, and there's a couple reasons. The first reason, and I'm going to rant right now because I'm fucking flippin' pissed, is the Mass Effect 3 official game guide by Prima Games. Now, when you're buying the Mass Effect 3 strategy guide, sure, there'll be times during the game, gee, how do I do this one particular side mission? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I admit, there were a couple times during the game where I did use this to figure out how to solve a couple side missions that were a little bit tricky and a little bit confusing. But really, what do you really want the strategy guide for? So you know what the endings of the game are and you can get them properly by doing whatever the criteria are. Well, Prima Games, in all of their glory, decided, oh, we want to make a spoiler-free strategy guide in regard to the endings. So not only do they not explain the endings properly, but they completely botch it, and it's all misprinted and mistyped, and it's all wrong and doesn't properly tell you how to get the ending. So let me explain what I mean. First of all, it doesn't properly explain the fact of how galactic readiness and how your military strength work. It never, you read it and it's very confusing. It doesn't explain whether or not they multiply together, whether or not your final rating to get the perfect ending or what the different endings is just military strength, just galactic readiness, or the two combined. It doesn't explain. The entire explanation of how to get the endings is on one page. It's abbreviated and really doesn't make much sense. And then to boot, there's a typo, and the major typo is this. I'm going to just read you one line. It's not, I won't do spoilers. Basically it says, if your readiness rating is below 715 points, you get this ending. Wait a minute. Readiness rating, your galactic readiness rating, that's a percent number. It starts at 50%, and the more multiplayer you get, it increases. So, right off the bat, every single explanation of the endings is wrong. You don't know if this means total military strength, your percent rating, or a combination of the two. In reality, it's actually a combination of the two, but the strategy guide is fucking wrong. So you spent $25 on a strategy guide, and the most important page in the whole guide is fucking incorrect. In addition to that, to get different endings of the game, and I'm not going to spoil for anyone, again, spoiler free, but you need to actually make certain choices. There's 2 times when there's critical choices you can make to affect the ending of the game. And when I was playing the ending of the game for the first time, you can see this firsthand if you watch my playthrough, I'm not sure what choices to make. I'm like, am I supposed to do this or this or this? If I do this and I make this choice, is it going to affect the ending of the game? The answer is yeah, it actually does affect the ending of the game, whether or not you make these choices. So, I'm just blown away that I have no fucking idea how to beat the game and get the perfect ending because I bought the strategy guide and they don't explain it. So what the fuck's the point of this guide? It's a complete ripoff. And Prima Games should be ashamed, and fucking BioWare should be ashamed because this is BioWare reviewed and approved this guide. What the fuck? It's pretty obvious when you actually read that page that explains the endings that the people who made this guide didn't get all the endings, and they only got one, and what BioWare did is said, well, here's how you get the rest, put that in the guide. And they botched it, and they did typos on it, and it's all fucked up. So this strategy guide, when figuring out how to get the endings of the game, is completely worthless, okay? So now everyone on the internet is trying to figure out how do you get this ending? How do you do it? I don't understand. And BioWare comes out the other day and does an official release on their website saying, you don't have to play the multiplayer in order to get the perfect ending of the game. There's more than enough side missions in the game to accrue enough military strength that you never have to play multiplayer, okay? Fine, but let me explain something to you. My playthrough of the game was 34 hours long. I literally spent 10 to 15 hours just doing side missions. I did every single human side mission. I spent several hours running around the Citadel doing side missions, collecting things from planets and bringing them back to the Citadel. And I probably accrued an additional 2,000 military strength outside of the normal campaign just doing side missions, okay? When I beat the game, I had roughly 6,000 total military strength, but my galactic readiness rating, which is based off of multiplayer, which I didn't play, stayed at 50%, I was unable to get the perfect ending. So what BioWare is saying here is you don't need to play multiplayer. So if your total rating has to be 5,000 to get the perfect ending, okay, but you're always going to have it because you didn't play multiplayer, it's always going to be 50% readiness, that means you have to get 10,000 military strength in your playthrough. realistically, I don't fucking see how that's possible. I did most of the side content of the game, and I only had 6,000. If you really want my honest opinion, I think BioWare is full of shit. I think they're lying, and I think the only way to really get the perfect ending is to play the multiplayer, get it up to 100% readiness, then play through the game, and then try to get 5,000, and then you can get the perfect ending of the game, okay? So I'm really disappointed, number one, with Prima Guides for making a completely botched explanation of the endings because they didn't want to spoil. No, it's probably because they didn't know how to get the multiple endings, and BioWare provided them with a half-assed explanation that made no sense, and then they went online and completely fucking lied about the fact that you need to play multiplayer in order to get the perfect ending of the game. Now, the silver lining of all this is that people are saying the multiplayer is pretty good. And I played the Mass Effect 3 demo, and it actually was pretty good when I played it. So, when I come back from this weekend, and next week when I start to do, hardcore footage every day, like I usually do, I will be playing the multiplayer of Mass Effect 3. I will max out my readiness rating, and then I'm going to go back through the ending of the game, which, by the way, is about a 2-hour sequence that you have to totally replay. Once you beat the game, it takes you back almost 2 full missions that you need to start over again to get another ending. I will be doing that again. I'm probably not going to record it all. I'll probably get to the ending of the game and then start recording from the ending of the game, but I plan on doing that and showing everyone the perfect ending, because I want to fucking do it and I want to see what it is. I'm actually pleased with the ending that I got on my first playthrough. I actually feel satisfied with what happened with the game, but I am disappointed that BioWare is lying, the strategy guide's fucking worthless, and everyone on the internet is kind of just like lost as to how to get this perfect ending because it was never clearly explained anywhere. So let me say this, if you're watching this video and you have friends who are going to play Mass Effect 3 and they're wondering how to get the perfect ending, please direct them to this video. How you get the perfect ending is, you have to get 5,000 military strength, and then you need to play the multiplayer enough so that it's 100%, and once you have the 5,000, that's how you get the perfect ending. It's not, you can't skip multiplayer because you'll end up playing the game for 50, 60 fucking hours doing every single collection quest, and I still have my doubts that you can get 10,000 military strength doing it that way. I think BioWare's full of fucking shit, and all of a sudden when people started complaining, because let's be honest, some people probably bought this game and don't have Xbox Live, and they can't play the multiplayer. And the game did come, just so everyone knows, the game did actually come with a 2-day Xbox Live Gold Pass with it for free. And the reason they probably did that is because they were like, oh shit, we just realized you can't get the best ending unless you play online. We better give them a couple days of free online play so everyone has a fair chance to do that. Which is unfair because some people don't want to fucking play Mass Effect multiplayer. Basically, they're shoving it down your throat, which is not fair. So, that's how you get the perfect ending of the game. I'll be back next week to do that, and those are my feelings on the game. I really feel that it's a great way to end the trilogy. After playing these games for 5 to 6 years, this is a great way to wrap it up again. Every character who you've loved and come to love throughout the course of the series gets their due. The choices you made in Mass Effect 1 definitely affect the gameplay and the ending of Mass Effect 3, and I really enjoyed that fact that they followed through with all that. The only frustration I have about the game is the way that you get your final ending and the fact that the game doesn't explain it, BioWare's lying about it, the strategy guide's fucking confusing and wrong about it, and you basically just gotta flail out there for yourself to try to figure it out. That fucking pisses me off, and I think BioWare should have really done a better job on that. The only other thing that I do want to talk about before I finish is that there is some controversy surrounding the fact that there was Day 1 DLC for this game called From Ashes. Now, if you bought the Collector's Edition like I did, you got it for free. But if you did not buy the Collector's Edition, it was an additional $10. Well, let me tell you something. It's definitely worth it because the character you get in this DLC is the best character in the game, in my opinion, and actually gives you the best weapon in the game, in my opinion. So, the entire game, once I did the DLC content, which, by the way, you don't realize you're doing the DLC content because it kind of immerses itself into the campaign, but once you do it, you quickly realize, oh my god, this guy's really fucking strong. He's got amazing biotic powers, but he also has, excuse me, he also has an amazingly powerful laser rifle, and it's ridiculously powerful, and I've used it for the entire game after leveling it up. You know, I did all the upgrades to it. It kicks everything's ass. Only until the very last levels of the game did it start to take a while to kill enemies. Everything else it was mowing through. So, for $10, You can get the full story, and by the way, I really feel if you don't get this DLC, you're not getting the full story of Mass Effect 3. So I can understand people being upset that basically they got a game that was incomplete. This character was really on the disc, he was in the game, it really wasn't DLC, it was nothing downloaded. You know, he's in the game originally already, and he should have been in the game to begin with. They shouldn't have made you pay $10. This is how BioWare is basically, or not BioWare, I guess it's probably EA that made that decision. They're ripping another $10 out of the consumer that really they don't deserve. It should have been in the game to begin with, in my opinion. I do actually agree with everyone. However, I don't agree with these foolish idiots who are saying, boycott the game. Boycott 5 years that you've been waiting for the culmination of this game because EA, the publisher, is trying to steal another $10 from you. You know what I mean? What? No, I'm not going to disrespect BioWare. I'm not going to disrespect the people who worked on this game because EA is trying to steal another $10. That's ignorant and stupid. So all the people who boycotted this game are ignorant and stupid and don't understand what the fuck they're doing. I think that was really silly. But I do understand the frustration, and I do understand the uproar that people had about it, and I agree, it is bullshit. For me, I was getting it anyway because I got the collector's edition. He ends up being the best character in the game with the best weapon in the game. What the fuck, you know? Alright, so those are my initial impressions after beating the game the first time. As I said, I will be playing some multiplayer and recording, and I will be attempting to beat the game and get the perfect ending next week. So tune in for that, and that's it. So that was good. Mass Effect 3, great game in my opinion. Once I play the multiplayer and I do everything I want to do in it, then I'll do a Hateful Truth review. But so far, so good. Really fun. I hope that this impressions video clears things up, explains how to get the perfect ending so you're not confused. And I will see you guys next week for more Mass Effect 3. Thanks.